It's going to be more than just a presentation, though. We have, in addition to myself, Ian Margerison from Clear Insight, we have Bob Gill, who is on the line, and Bob is one of our lead professional architects, and he will be taking us through a demo of some of these solutions because, as we all know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So we will be doing that. So I will be taking you through a few slides to introduce the subject, introduce some of the elements and challenges that we are all facing in these areas, and then Bob will go into the demo. But as we go through it, please make sure that you're jotting down any questions you might have throughout the webinar. So some of you on the line may not know who we are too well. We are Clear Insight. We're an IBM business partner, but more so than that, we really are a boutique consulting solutions firm that operate in both the U.S. and Canada and support clients across North America and, in fact, down into the Caribbean even right now, where it would be nice to be, where it's nice and warm. But that said, our focus is towards the Office of Finance, and we operate in these 5 vectors that you see on the slide here right now. Financial performance management, which will be in the topic today, business intelligence and analytics, being able to get your reporting out, a key area in disclosure management and financial statement reporting, and we're helping a lot of clients in that area as well. And then predictive analytics we will touch on today, something exciting and a really effective way to leverage your information and help improve business performance. And then finally, risk and compliance that we touch on with some of our customers. We then, as you can see at the bottom, it's all about your business, and you only have so much capacity. And so often we run into folks, you're not alone, where things take longer than you want them to. You're no doubt, you ask yourself the question, do I wish I could be out of the office earlier? Am I concerned with the numbers that I'm distributing? Do I have confidence in what I'm doing? Do I have security around the numbers that are going around the business? Do people understand what's happening in the business? Do they have easy access to information? Can we get our financial statements out and our financial close done quicker? All these kind of questions that you may be facing, and so we're going to touch on these topics today together. So just to kind of consolidate that down, it's about simplifying the budgeting and planning process, helping to automate and consolidate financial statements and disclosure, and then transforming data into insights gets you to the business analytics. We've got customers across a number of different verticals, many there that you would recognize, household names that we're happy to work with and drive performance with these businesses. And each one of these businesses are happy to provide their feedback to us in testimonials and to talk to any prospective customers as they come on board with us. It's all about driving solutions and value for you, our customers. So some of you on the line are our customers, so sorry for that repeat, but those who don't know us, just a little introduction there. So when we think about efficiency in the Office of Finance, there's many solutions that you can use to do different things. And often when we speak to folks, they say, oh, in the areas of planning and budgeting and business analytics, oh yeah, we've got solutions. And what they end up referring themselves back to and referring me to are really their accounting systems and their GL systems or their ERP systems. And that really is like putting a square peg in a round hole to use those systems. Those systems are excellent and designed for doing your day-to-day tactical accounting, your day-to-day management of your GL, the management of your internal operations. And it manages all those internal tasks and tracks those for you. But when it comes to doing strategic planning, to giving access to the broader range of information consumers in your business, they become very challenging and very ineffective to do that in a way that works for everybody. There's other systems that do some of these things, but they're very limited in their ability to provide customization, limited in their ability to make them enterprise-wide and allow for discussion and integration across different members of the team and across different departments. And so these things all have limitations and don't necessarily fit properly. That aside, we all love, and if you are in a larger organization beyond just what finance does, while we love spreadsheets, we have our challenges and we can pull our hair out sometimes as we try and leverage Excel on its own in a corporate environment for doing planning, for doing budgeting, even for pulling data out and dumping it into reports to disseminate information to the business. They all have their challenges. And so, but we work with finance day in and day out, and so we know right well that Excel is a key tool. So one of the exciting things that Bob is going to show you today is within what we offer our customers is the ability to still use Excel and still have Excel driving your interactions with your data to the degree that you want to, but avoiding all of the challenges that come with Excel, you know, overcoming issues without workflow, issues of sending spreadsheets around and having data secure, issues of bad formulas and different things in your spreadsheets. You all know about that. And so spreadsheets is core, but it's not the end-all and be-all for that. So as we work with our customers, our goal is to deliver better outcomes for you from the information you have. Our imperative is that we improve efficiency. This is an easy opportunity within every organization that we meet with, is to drive that efficiency, allow you to measure performance, and of course to reduce risk, especially within the Office of Finance. Our vision then, you might have caught this in one of my other slides, gain back time, increase control, and increase and instill confidence in what you're doing. But you do have issues as we meet with customers, and the question that you want to ask is, you know, can I depend on a single version of the truth, or do you end up in a meeting table with the executive team and different people have different numbers? Do you have trouble getting access to your data? Do you have to call IT to get a download of data? Do you have a problem being able to move quickly and respond quickly when there's a need for information? And then, of course, compliance is core in everything that we do to make sure that that is embedded in our processes. So some food for thought here. I was going to make it as a question and a poll for you, but I'm just going to make it as food for thought right now. When you think about your current budgeting and planning process, just think for yourself, where does that fit? Is it fantastic? It's very efficient. It's great for me. Is it just kind of works, but it has challenges? Does it need an overhaul? Or worse yet, is it a nightmare? So just think about that for yourself right now as it relates to your budgeting and planning processes that you do perhaps annually, well, hopefully annually, but perhaps you then do it quarterly, perhaps you do it monthly. Some customers of ours even do it on an as-needed basis. When you've got the right solutions, you can do that whenever you want and do it easily. So as an IBM business partner, we leverage the IBM Cognos TM1 solution for budgeting, planning, and forecasting. And this is a very integrated solution with multiple interfaces that you see here. The Excel interface on the left that we talked about, and Bob will be able to show you that. There is an independent desktop install that can be used so that you can actually work with all your information and do your planning offline. There's, of course, managed collaboration in a larger environment where you can measure workflow and the finance team can watch and see how all the departments are in their budget process, how far along they are and what they're doing. And then, of course, you have the mobile capability. And one of the values here is once an environment is method of budgeting and planning is set up in your solution, you have all these interfaces. So in fact, people can pick it up, get their reports on their mobile, but they can even actually enter in new information and update budget and forecast numbers directly from their phones or their tablets. Then we go to the business intelligence and analytic reporting. And think about that. This is, as you will agree, I think, is a different process than the budgeting and planning. This is on whether it's, you know, Some companies just on a monthly basis right now will send out reports and say, here's our current month performance, and here's what's happening in the business, and here's our variance to budgets, etc. But where we want to take customers and help them is this is information that can be as real-time as you want it to be. It's not a process of distributing reports, but a process of accessing reports. So in your environment, where does that sit? Is it great? Is it on demand? Everybody can dynamically look at things and drill down and have access to information in intuitive, graphical ways. Is it something that just works, or are you down through stages 3 and 4 with your business intelligence and reporting? Integrated in with the Cognos TM1 side of things is the Cognos Business Intelligence, which has been around, really the original business intelligence vendor, and has been around forever until IBM bought it and put literally billions of dollars into Cognos BI, and it's ranked by the analysts in the highest ends of the spectrum. There's so many different things that we can bring forward and show you about this, including cloud-based capabilities, etc. But there's Cognos BI that we'll see a little bit about. Cognos Disclosure Management, getting us to that, I think it was the third circle at the start there, being able to provide a collaborative environment to get those disclosure reports out. Perhaps they're big board reports that you have to do that have a lot of narrative in it, and every month to say, here's how the business activity was carried on, here's our performance, etc., where you've got to integrate numbers and text and narrative and graphs and charts, and you have multiple people working on them. That can be a nightmare just on its own. Cognos Disclosure Management gives you the control in a very cost-effective way to do that for your business. Again, integrated. The last little section, Predictive Analytics. And this is very exciting where this is going now. We've been working with it for quite some time, but now there are solutions that can bring predictive analytics to every user in your business in a very intuitive fashion. So where are you with that? Are you it's new in your environment, you have no experience at all, you've heard about it and you're curious, or it's something that is in your plans. The business has decided we need to get into this and you're about to do that. Or number 4, are you actually already using predictive? So some food for thought for you there. In the area of predictive, we've got Watson Analytics, and this is one of the greatest new solutions out, leading the marketplace, something that has a single advanced analytics. So we're not just talking business intelligence reporting of what has happened in the business, but actually the ability to analyze in an automated fashion with, as it says in the second bullet there, fully automated intelligence to mine your data based upon real-life questions you enter into the system, and it will give you a guided discovery of your data and provide insight into your data. So it takes your business intelligence to the next level, and this is something that, in fact, we are even able to offer you free of charge to test out in your environment, and we're happy to pass you the link to get signed up for that. And so you just fire us a note at the end for that. And again, just jot your questions in if you have any questions along these lines. All right, so my last slide before I turn it over to Bob is just to kind of highlight for you that these solutions that we're leveraging and what we do for our customers is not about here's some software and away you go. These software platforms from IBM, they're ranked highest by the analysts, and the left side here is on the financial performance side, and the right side on your business intelligence capabilities with Cognos. But in and of themselves, what you need is a solution on top, leveraging those very powerful platforms. And so together we're able to provide a very tuned custom solution for you in that way. So let's just turn it over to Bob, and we'll let Bob kind of walk us through a bit of a demo, and there'll be different things that you are going to want to see, so or questions. So put your chat items in there, and we'll take it from there. So Bob, great to see you online there even. See you there. Oh, thanks, Bob. We'll turn it over to you.
Great, thanks, Ian. So yeah, I've got a lot to go through. Just as a quick overview of what I want to walk through is we'll touch on the workflow, some operating expense analysis, revenue, workforce planning, capital planning, some more detailed income statement analysis we can do. Also the Excel interface, talk about SPSS and show you how that integrates with TM1, and some dashboards and Cognos disclosure management. So let's get right into it. So here we have what a TM1 application looks like. This is what really the workflow view. So you'll notice we've got kind of a hierarchy along the left-hand side, and when I expand this out, I can see how my company or my entities are arranged here. At the top level, we can see the total company. Now our plan is incomplete right now across the whole company. So I'm going to drill into this a bit to see where is it that we need to continue planning here. So if I go and look at Canada in particular, I see that there were plans for Toronto, Vancouver, and Calgary rolling up into Canada. So Canada as a whole region is complete from a plan perspective. Now if I look into the eastern region, I can see that Massachusetts is still available. So now this view that we're looking at, let me walk through some of the columns here. So first we have the total region along the top, and it says which consists of, so these are the elements within this region. So here we've got the eastern region is made up of Massachusetts, Maryland, and Georgia. Then we have the state. Now this isn't the state is actually right there, but this is meaning what status is the workflow at. So available means it hasn't been started yet. Reserved means it's in progress. So once it gets to that point, someone would submit. Once they've finished working on it, they would submit it. It could be reviewed or rejected, and then approved if it meets the approval. There are lots of permissions and securities that can security that can be set across these different areas. You can control who can make edits, who can approve, who can submit, who can reject these different items. We can see the owner is typically the person that has started the process or is running the current step. So here, the IBM demo PM user is working on this item here. We can also see who the reviewer is and when data was last committed to this. And having data committed to it is not just having it saved, but it's having it available for review across the team. So let's get started here. We're going to go into Massachusetts. And this is going to open up our kind of starting page here. We can get a nice overview of what the process is. Now this is a demo here, but this would be tailored to your solution to walk folks through what your planning process is. So we're not just sending people into a tool and they have to figure it out on their own. There's very much a guided approach where the training and the documentation is built into it and always available. Now, there's a big, nice blue start button here. If I click that, I won't be able to do anything right now because the very first thing I need to do is to take ownership of this region. So by taking ownership of that region, now I can make changes to this. So now I can click on my start and I can kind of see within my process, my planning process, what are the steps I need to do. So I'm going to enter some new products, go into my headcount planning, capital, OPEX, and income statement planning. So let's start with OPEX. And although this is the nice defined process here, we can see, I also have the opportunity to work on the pieces that need to be either updated, maybe there's feedback on different pieces. And here I'm going to look at operating expenses. Now, one thing that's quite nice is this is very much interactive. So I can come in here and let's say I want to make that 1,000. Now you notice all I did is I clicked on a cell, I put in a number, that number changed, and automatically any of the affected numbers also changed and also were highlighted in this blue color. Now this is very handy for especially when you're working through a plan. So I haven't submitted this data yet. So all the data that I'm working with right now is only visible to me. So I don't have to worry that I'm affecting other people's numbers across the system right now. This is just for my purposes. Once I'm ready to do that, I have a little button here that says commit. So that would, once the data is committed, it's saved back to the system and available for everyone to review across the system. So this is handy for, if you're making changes to a plan and you've got both revenue and expense impacts. You might not want to have just the revenue implications available first. You want to make sure that it's available across the system as one batch. And then once that's there, you can also submit it to someone for review if necessary for the workflow. So entering a number is nice, but what if we want to be a little more fancy than that? So we have these tools called spreading tools, data spread. And you'll see there's a whole host of ways we can spread data. Proportional spread, equal. Proportional would say, look at something, look at either a past year, look at a different account, and spread this number with the same percentages as this other reference point. Equal, this would be, if I want to put in 1,200 for the year, I want it spread equally to be 100 for each period. Repeat, I'm going to put in 100 and I want it to be repeated in every period. Maybe I just want to clear out the numbers, put them all back to 0, make a percentage change, have some kind of straight line application, growth percentages, relative proportional spreading, proportional adjustments, repeating. So what I want to showcase here is there's lots of different ways to do high-level planning and also make sure that the numbers are applied in the right way. So here let's do an equal spread. So let's put 1,200, let's put 12,000. There you go. So I put in 12,000 across my year. I wanted that repeated equally across the 12 months. I see all of the numbers that have been affected by the spreading, as well as all the summary numbers have also been updated. So let's try a relative proportional spread as well. So here, I can choose, it gives me the same stuff I'm looking at, so maybe I want to choose a prior year or a different account. So let's pick prior year. I'll pick my prior year. Let's say I want it to be 12,000 as a total. So there you go. So in the previous year it was equal as well. So it took that same 12,000 and applied it based off the prior year information equally across these periods. But it could be another item as well. So let's take a look at other other items we have here. So now this organization, we only have access to Massachusetts right now because that's the only one we have ownership of. Currency could be the local or base. If there's focus on multi-currency planning, that's completely fine. We can look at variance calculations. We can look at different years. All of these little drop-downs provide a different visibility within the same layout that we're looking at. And if I look at the report, the same data, I still see all of these blue numbers. Now this is not the blue numbers here don't. The formatting does mean something. These are numbers that would be changed if I committed my changes to what I've done here. So now let's go do that. So when I commit my changes, the numbers turn black. They've been applied. They're available to anyone in the system for review. So this has been the expense planning part. Let's move on to the revenue planning as well. So here on the revenue side, this is a chart showing us the 3 lines. So so here we have our plans along a grid here. So this like product plan, the predicted product plan, and the new product plan. We've only got data for our like and predicted lines here, so that's why you only see the 2 lines on the graph. Now let's say we wanted to add in a new product. So let's add in 4G 64 gigabyte. We're going to add that as a new product. Put in the forecast for maybe 3,500. Add the product. So I've just on the fly added something new to my system. I can see it available. It's in blue. It hasn't been committed yet. I can make changes to any one of these periods. Maybe I want this one to be 300. Maybe I want this one to be 200. So you'll see, we're able to see the data changing in the grid, the data changing in the graph, and right now we're also able to control it. So it's only available to the person working on it until it's ready for further review by a larger audience. So this looks quite a bit larger than my year total for the other one. So maybe I'll switch this back to, let's go right in the middle of 1700. Now you notice that time, I didn't have to select anything to do with spreading. I just put in a year total, and it used the relative proportional spread of the numbers that were already there. So it didn't put them in equally. It said based off of what was already there, there was a certain percentage in each period. So use that same percentage to apply to allocate out the 1700 that I just entered here. Okay, so this is the product listing. So let's take a look at other items. So if we look at the unit forecast, so now we're looking at that same grid, but with a little bit more detail. So here's a 1700 number that we were working with just in the other screen. It's still in blue because we haven't committed any of our data. We can still do any of the spreading items that we want. We can even hold items. Or we can drill through to product analysis items. So if there are relative reports that we want to have available, we can link those here with this drill item. The channel detail is yet another combination of grid and report with drop downs along the top to make selections. And these numbers are still active. So when I make a change here, I see it reflected in the total. I see it reflected in every total in each screen. The margin detail here is going to show me some metrics for my channel analysis. I go to the very end. This is a nicely formatted report to show me my quarterly totals along with trend analysis by product. So what I want to showcase here is that if we zero in on the revenue planning and analysis exercise, folks are able to go in and create whole new products very quickly, budget for those products given whatever information they want to enter for it, and they can also report on it very quickly and in a nice presentation format. They're not necessarily running there's not long-running reports that need to get done or requests to IT to add a new product. It's all available right here. And again, once I'm ready, I just hit commit. And my numbers turn black. They've been committed and now available for other folks to look at. So the next thing I want to look at is your workforce planning. So workforce planning, we're looking at a list of employees. So we've got our year selected. We're looking at budget data. I mean, these are different plans. We could have any number of plans here. Maybe we want a base plan, an optimistic plan, and pessimistic plan. Those are all just different versions that we can work with. But we've got a list of employees, their job type, the job code, their starting period, their FTE numbers. Maybe some folks only work half-time. We can account for that. Their salary totals, their current salary, merit period, merit percentages, merit adjustment percentages, with any possible new salary towards the end of the year, any transfers that may have happened during the plan year, and we can even do risk scoring. So this is something that relates to SPSS. So with SPSS, you can tie in predictive models to a lot of really any of these items. In this case, this model is going to show, it brings up risk scores relative to turnover. So by looking at historical data, Maggie Clark fits the criteria of someone who could possibly leave the company. So that's something that is right near in the planning stage. It's visible to the folks making the decisions around what they need to do for HR for the next year. So this can be crucial. If you have someone that may be looking to leave the company and you don't really know, this is a pretty strong, it's a nice thing to just at least consider. It's not saying these will happen, but it's saying that this person fits the criteria, has the same characteristics of someone that has left the company. So we've committed our data, we haven't submitted it. Let's drill down to the details. So here now we've chosen Gretchen Davis. All I had to do was click on her name and drill down to details, and now I see all the details by month of the different pieces of the expenses related to her employment. So salary, bonus, medical expenses, other benefits, FICA, and Medicare. If I can come in here. So let's go back. This is the details tab. You notice the tabs along the bottom. If I go back to our employees tab, what if I change a merit adjustment percentage to 15%? Nice big bonus there. Now if I look at the details on her, notice how I see the 15%, the increase in her merit adjustment takes effect in July. So I see this has affected all of my numbers from July through the end of the year in each of these different categories. So these calculations happen on the fly. There's no processes to run. There's nothing complicated to do. All I've done is adjust the merit percentage, and I see in quantifiable dollars what the impact of that has been. So that's workforce planning. Okay, so now next thing I want to look at is capital. So I'm going to commit these changes. Notice how they all turn black. Now let's talk about capital. So it's very common, when folks are doing their capital planning, they need to know, well, what is it that we want to plan for, how much does it cost, when do we want to purchase it, and when does it go into service. So when someone comes into this tool here, keep in mind we're still looking at Massachusetts. Here we're looking at different asset types. So maybe if I change it to computers. So looking at a different asset type, all of these, this automatically filters what we're looking at in both the grid and the graph. So go back to furniture, we'll see the ones we're working with here. Let's say we want to add in a new line. It's as simple as adding, just typing in the line that's available here. So let's say boardroom furniture. So let's say that's going to cost $36,000. We're going to purchase it in, let's say May. Goes into service in May. Project code if we choose to mark them that way. Justification 4. So look at that. In May, we see the graph's already adjusted. It's turned blue. I see the numbers that are related to this particular item. If I want to look at my depreciation schedule, here's my depreciation schedule for furniture. So I see all these numbers have been impacted. And yeah, so that's been quite handy that you can see the depreciation schedule at the grain of detail that you need, even by these different amounts. It's only 2 screens. So this is part of the native workflow. So these items would get approved or rejected as part of the workflow of Massachusetts in total. So let's commit that and keep walking down, going through our planning here. So the next thing we'll look at is some of those other tabs that I've glossed over so far. So we started with our introduction, and this has our planning process listed out in a very sequential in a very sequential format, so folks can walk through this step by step. It's also available as tabs along the top. Talked about revenue. We've looked at our workforce planning, our employee detail. Talked about capital. We also talked about operating expenses. So we look at our profit and loss statement. So we see this is the P&L for this area, this region. We also have a variety of reports along the bottom. So if we wanted to change, maybe we wanted to change some of our FX rates, we can change our FX rates to make sure that we're using the right rates for a particular plan. The key thing to think about here is this is all, we haven't gone to any other tool. We're all in this one tool, this contributor tool here. And we get from this review tab, we get a snapshot of which portions of the plan are doing, pardon me, so which portions of the plan are completed. And this is showing it graphically rather than just numbers. So you can make a dashboard off of this, or you can use this as management to see, well, what's the status of these different pieces here, and use this to investigate, well, why is depreciation, showing a red square here? What's the concern around that? Why is our occupancy a concern? So something we can look at. It's indicators that certain things are actionable to get further investigation. If we look at our revenue analysis, we can enter. These are still numbers, so this is still editable data because I've still taken ownership of it. So I can still be making changes to this. All of this is different perspectives on the same plan. So when I look at the plan in a different way, maybe I want to make different adjustments to make sure that it correctly portrays what I think is going to happen. And with the blue here, we still see all the implications of anything that has changed based off of something that I've made in either this screen or somewhere else. So when I change this particular one for office expense to 20,000, to 20,000, I see the changes of that across the year, across the quarter. Yeah. So we'll commit that. Now, speaking of changing interfaces, I know Ian mentioned Excel. So it is very powerful that a lot of this can be done directly from Excel. So I want to show you that now. If we pop over to Excel, TM1 comes up as a ribbon that's available. I can explore to look at any data that we have in the system. So we've been looking at income statement information. So I'll navigate to my income statement information. Available here in this cube. So now, similarly to what we had before, I can look at different regions. Let's go find Massachusetts. Here's the data we're looking at. Notice how we're still looking at gross margin. We can still expand out gross margin. We're still looking at budget data for 2015. I've got access to any other. I can change these drop downs to look at different pieces that I'd like to see. And then now I can have some options to bring this back into Excel. A slice lets me bring the data back into Excel, and it's still live. I can make changes right in Excel, and they'll be saved back to the system as long as I have ownership of that region and the sufficient permissions to do so. I can take a snapshot of it. Maybe I just want the numbers. I don't want it to be connected to the system. That's fine. That's supported too. And the support for zero suppression. So let's pull this into Excel as a slice. Now I'm going to go into a particular month, and I'm going to change. Let's change our cost of sales from 508 to 510. Access is denied. Now that's denied because there's rules blocking me from doing that at that point. So aside from taking ownership, if there's any business logic that needs to apply, then that's available as well. So I wonder if I can change this one. Let's see. Nope. Okay. So even though it's in Excel, and let me show you the formulas. In Excel. Yeah. So here, this DBRW cell is just a formula. I can put this anywhere on the sheet. It's going to return me exactly the number that I'm looking for. So the interface into Excel is exceptionally powerful. You don't have to define whole grids. You can just pick one number off anywhere. You can put it anywhere you want. You can put formulas to figure out, what year or scenario is supposed to be shown, what account should be shown. There's different properties to decide whether I want to see, the account written out in a long form with a description or just the account number. Do I want to have periods written out as short form English, or maybe just 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a lot of flexibility that can all be done here in Excel. And speaking to SPSS, so for SPSS, for folks that are familiar with it, this is what SPSS looks like. You can have any number of sources that you can pull data from. And these can be very large data sources, databases, very, very large CSV files to pull data in to do some analysis on historical data. TM1 is its own data source in SPSS as of, I think, version 17. So you'll see there's a special object right here in SPSS for TM1. I just drag that onto the canvas, and it'll ask me to configure it. I connect into my TM1 server. I pick the data I want. There's even a tool here to help me select which cube I want and which view I want within that. So for anyone that's looking to do, like I was looking at before that, any kind of predictive analysis, and I'll jump back to the one we had here. So remember, so for SPSS, earlier we were looking at the predictive item of whether someone is a candidate for turnover. So you can put together a model to say, looking at all the people that have left the company in the past with their different characteristics, identify people that are at a high risk of leaving the company. And particularly when it comes to HR planning, that can be useful to reduce that turnover and make sure that folks stay when you need them to stay. So let's talk about dashboards for a bit here. Yeah. So this is an example of a financial performance dashboard. Now there's a lot going on here. You see there's stacked bar graphs showing a profitability period over period. There's gross margin by sales responsibility. There's a grid of different numbers that is actionable here. And when I click on any one of these numbers, you'll see, let's see, if I click on, yeah, I can drill down, I can drill up, I can go to related links if we had any. There's a lot of interactivity across this item. This is not just a static report. And even this is something that I could customize myself. If maybe I didn't want to see the grid, I could move it from the workspace, or I could move these things around. So you see I get an icon, I can move these items around within the canvas. So this is still over the web. I can move them as I see fit to give me the analysis I'm looking for. Maybe I don't need all the data. I can use a slider to say I only need Q3, Q4 data. And when by affecting that slider, each of the graphs on the chart on this view are updated. And there we go. Now we're looking at just Q3 for fiscal 2011 and Q4 as well. And you can put in additional links to reports or other dashboards that would be important for this, for anyone looking at this kind of data. Now, last but certainly not least, I want to touch on CDM. So when it comes to planning a lot of the time there's going to be some kind of a final result. It could be a board book, maybe it's a PowerPoint presentation that's being presented to a board, maybe it's a PDF document that's submitted to some kind of regulator or shareholders or any number of audiences. So CDM solves the last mile problem, where Maybe we have a great planning tool where all the numbers are spot on, we're comfortable with all the numbers, but then we just copy and paste those numbers into Word or PowerPoint. And maybe we say on page 1, income is $5 million, and on page 2, we say income is $6 million. And as we're going through the presentation or someone's reading through the text of that document, they ask the obvious question, well, why aren't they the same? So CDM is an environment that lets you break out different pieces of either a PowerPoint or a Word document into the different sections. And as a whole, you can still generate an Excel, still generate a Word file or a PowerPoint file from all these different pieces. And you can have many people working on this at the same time as they're checking in and checking out different sections. But the real power is that it links into TM1. So if I look at something like, see how there's different objects here, this is going to bring up a spreadsheet for my high-level income statement. For any of the spreadsheet objects here, I can connect into TM1, and whenever I regenerate these numbers, it's going to pull up, it's going to populate this grid here. So I can reference the grid of numbers that came from TM1 in 10 different places across the report, be it in Word or in PowerPoint, and I can be guaranteed that when I say that net income is $7.3 million for 2012 Q1 plan, I can be guaranteed it's going to say that same number in every place I've referenced it. And even if I'm still working through my plan, if the plan changes, anytime I regenerate this, I'll get the updated number in the right spot across all these different points. So it cuts down on a lot of the, did I make sure I update it in every spot situations? Because the really unfortunate situation is a team can put in so much effort into a fantastic plan, but then when they go to present it, small gaffes like this can really take away from the impact and the confidence that people have when they're reviewing these kind of items. So we've covered CDM, we've covered SPSS, talked about the Excel analysis, Excel cube part. Let's go back into this tool here. Okay. So here's my operating expense tab. And if I look at the operating expense planning piece along the top, let's change this. Make this number $5,000. Let's make this very top. Let's see if we can do this. Can we do 700,000? Okay. So even at the very top level of payroll, I can make changes to this number, and it will affect the different pieces there. Now it's blocking it from making certain changes here, probably from business rules. But what I want to showcase here is you can make planning changes at any level in the hierarchy, and the system's smart enough to figure out where it should go. But if you would like to control how it's spread, you have a lot of flexibility around how those numbers are spread. So let's undo that. There we go. So just like Word and Excel and PowerPoint, I have undo and redo. And these are very handy for working on this kind of a system. If you make a mistake, you want to be able to undo it, particularly when there could be a broad impact. Maybe I come in here and I say that my office expense is going to be $90,000, and I see the impact of that across all these different items. Here on my Q4, I see that my total is $90,000. That's too high. At this view, I can put it back to 70. And we're back at 70 here. So I can make changes from a variety of different views. It's fully consistent. I can undo whatever I need to undo across the system, and I can manage it from a workflow perspective. So let's go back to the workflow and talk about that for a minute. So I'm going to submit this. And now, so I committed my data with a green check mark, and now I'm going to submit it. Are you sure you want to submit this? No, yes, I do. So once it's submitted, if I come in here and I try to change it to 90, I can still do that, but I have to reject, because then it's going to reject my previous submission and I'll have to resubmit. Let's go back and look at the workflow. So here we're still looking at the same workflow that we started with. Our performance workflow, we see the total company, Eastern region. Massachusetts is now locked. So it's been submitted for someone's review. Now someone can come in here and reject it. Only the reviewer can approve it. And then once it's approved, it would be in a ready status. So I know I've covered a fair bit of items. I'm going to try and do a quick recap. So here we talked about workflow, we looked at the total company in the different regions that were in different states. We looked at our operating expense plan and how we can make changes in a variety of different ways using spreading or direct entry of different numbers and see that from a variety of perspectives. Similarly for revenue, we looked at adding product and seeing the impacts of that both in the chart and the graph. For workforce planning, we were able to make changes to just 1% and see the impact of that across a variety of calculations. Capital, we could see that we could just add one line item of something that would want to be purchased, and we see the depreciation is calculated out based on the asset type, and we can see the schedule of depreciation as well, readily accessible. There's other reports that we looked at as well that would be available for different types of presentation. We looked at the Excel interface on how you can pretty much do all of this right from Excel, and it's just a formula in Excel. SPSS, we looked at how you can add TM1 as a source and pull data directly into SPSS for modeling and try to create some of those predictive scores. Also the dashboards, and we did get the CDM. So Ian, I think I want to pass it back to you. I know we covered a lot. I'm not sure if there's any questions, but I'll pass it back to you and then we can wrap up.
Excellent, Bob. Thank you very much for that whirlwind tour, and for all of you on our webinar. You had an opportunity to see quite a wide spectrum of capabilities and solutions all around the areas of budgeting, planning, forecasting, disclosure management, predictive capabilities, business intelligence, and disclosure management. I might have even missed something there. That's just a snippet of some of the areas, but if you think about what you're doing today, and back to the overall topic of our webinar, where and how could I transform my budgeting planning processes? You've seen the solutions, but the power is in how it can transform your environment and give you back time, control, and confidence. So I'm not sure if there's any questions yet. I don't see any questions there. I'll give you just a second. If you have a question, just feel free to punch that in there, and we're happy to answer that. But just as we wrap up, then, is for you to think about the fact that your accounting systems, your ERP systems, where you do your day-to-day functionality, those remain intact and those do exactly what they need to be done. This sits beside those systems and becomes the environment, the single source, single version of the truth that everybody gets their information from. We would feed these systems from your ERPs and from your GL systems, but then all of your strategic work, all of your analytics, all of your budgeting and planning, all of your reporting to variance, all of your disclosures, all of your generating your financial statements can come out of this environment now. And now you're putting the right tools in the right place to do the right things. But it's not one size fits all, so we're happy to discuss these things with you, answer any questions you have. We're here as a resource for you. And just so that you have that, my contact information, there is the contact information. Please don't hesitate to reach out and give us a call, send us an email. I'd encourage you to follow us on Twitter. We're doing updates and things on a regular basis and alerting of other webinars and other activity that we're doing. So I don't see any questions there at the moment, and I think we are just about at the top of the hour. So with that, I would say thank you very much, everybody, for attending our webinar today. We hope you found it of value, and I look forward to following up with any of you in the future and answering any questions you might have. Thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day from all of us here at Clear Insight. Bye for now.